Brandon, let's start with free agency. Khalil Mack, we haven't spoken to you since the trade happened. What was the genesis behind that?
I think we were looking for a difference maker, somebody that could really impact our defense, impact our team. And I think from a playmaking standpoint, pairing Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa together to me was really exciting if we could get it done. And you know who you have to defend in this league, and pass defense is pass rush and pass coverage, and we felt like pairing those two guys together would really impact our pass rush. But then Khalil's one of the most complete edge players there is in the NFL, and his ability in the run game is just as impactful as his ability as a rusher. So he's a very complete player. And then from a culture standpoint, me being with him, I saw what he did for our defense. I saw what he did for our football team, the type of worker that he is, the type of teammate that he is. In the primetime games, Khalil always played his best. And when you can add someone of his caliber to your team, I think it's really special, and I'm really excited to be back with him.
Piggybacking off that relationship that you have with him, what's something that you might know about him that we don't?
He doesn't say a lot, for being a superstar. He's not one of these guys that's very verbose at the microphone. He really likes to have his play do the talking, and I think that was something that was really big when we traded for him. You sign him to that contract. I think and you're in a city like Chicago, which has a lot of expectations for defensive players. He just really set the example every day, and I think that we were always surprised at just how much he really loves, football in terms of the practicing, the training, the meetings. Just he really loves that part of it, and then at the game, he's as fierce as a competitor as there is.
There are other guys like Mac, Sebastian Joseph Day, Troy Reeder, guys you have familiarity with. How did that relationship building sort of aid you through this free agency process?
Well, I think it really helped in the free agency process with Sebastian, because there were a lot of teams that were after his services. So we were fortunate to get him, and he was a really big part of our defense in 2020 with the Rams that, was the #1 defense in the NFL. And then last year, he was off to a really, really special start to their season. And I think what says a lot about him being able to come back for the Super Bowl, after being hurt, just this game means a lot to him. And so just have a centerpiece within our run front, a guy that's played in our system is going to be big. And then Troy, started for 2 years at inside linebacker and ran the show for us. And so I think that there's just a lot of confidence in what those guys can bring to the table and add them to this group of guys. I knew that they're going to fit in extremely well within our locker room. And I think they're, again, from a culture standpoint, not only are they productive players, but they bring a lot to your locker room.
You had said you want to arm, obviously, Justin Herbert with weapons, but you want to do the same for Derwin James. J.C. Jackson, one of those guys. How does he fit the mold of how you deploy corners in this
I think
defense?
that the number one, the point of arming Derwin was big. And I think Khalil Mack is a guy that can, really help Derwin out, because they're very similar competitors. And having someone in the front that can help Derwin out, I think is going to be big. And, now Khalil, Joey being in the front with Sebastian Austin, I think that's a big deal. But J.C. Jackson is a true #1 defensive back and a guy that can cover the premier receivers in the league. That's why I felt like in studying him, the fact that he covered all the big receivers, the big-time receivers, over the course of 4 seasons. It wasn't just one season, it was the course of his entire career so far. And then the fact that he's turned the football over, the guy's got, as many interceptions as anybody in NFL history through 4 years. And I think that he also has versatility to play in the slot. And he comes from a winning culture, in New England. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's been in a lot of playoff games. And so we felt like, again, he would be a great fit. And him and Derwin go a long ways back into high school. And I think that familiarity, that type of brotherhood, that goes a long way. And I think that what we were able to do in this offseason is tell our locker room, tell our fans that, we're serious about being Super Bowl champions. Rashawn Slater.
What's going on, Coach?
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is your second draft as a head coach. How has this process maybe been different than last year?
I feel a lot farther ahead than I did last year.
A little more comfortable.
Last year you're just I felt like each day you're just trying to catch up, where now you've laid such a different foundation, such a stronger foundation. You have relationships with Tom Telesco and JoJo Wood and Kevin Kelly, all the key personnel directors and all of our scouts, like the relationships with all our scouts between coaches. It's just we're so much farther ahead. I think that I have a stronger sense of the relationships in our building, and consequently have a much stronger sense of the board, because we've been able to get farther ahead. There isn't that oh, well, this is the systems that we run and this is what we're looking for in players. You don't have that same translation this year. You're able to just go full speed ahead. And so I've really enjoyed it. I think we're really prepared. I've really liked our process so far, and we'll see how it goes this week.
You have said that the NFL is about the present, but also about the future. How do you balance your wants, but also needs that this team might have down the road too?
Yeah, I think it's so important, Hayley, you make such a good point, because I think both points are true. I think in the present, you're trying to arm your team for this year to be Super Bowl champions. And so, but you can't be so short-sighted that what you want right now is sacrificing what is in the future. And I think especially with us, we have a really young football team. And I think what we wanted to do is build on the foundation of these young players and then be selective in a couple spots that we feel like are really going to strengthen the future of our team. And I think what we did this offseason was strengthen the present of our team in areas that needed to be, addressed, which specifically on defense. We're able to onboard Gerald Everett, specialist. We brought back Dustin Hopkins, got Josh Harris here as a deep snapper and DeAndre Carter. But we didn't do that at the expense of draft capital in the future. Even the Khalil trade, as a second-round pick and a 6th next year, we felt like for a premium player that was a very minimal price. And we still have 10 draft picks this year. We still have more next year, and so we want to continue to keep building, around this young nucleus of players that we have. And I just give so much credit to Tom, Telesco, JoJo, Wooden, Kevin Kelly, the Dean and John Spanos, Ed McGuire, Katie Sylvan. We've been able to, I think, really do this together with both of those things in mind, the present and the future.
And then lastly, what are your thoughts on taking the War Room to SoFi this year?
I think it's exciting. I think the NFL is about players and fans, and I think that for our fans to be up there at our stadium, to have our fans be a part of that experience, there's nothing better than the NFL draft. There isn't. And as a young kid growing up, you're always looking forward to that first round of the draft, and really that whole weekend. It's such a celebration, and I think for fans, it's kind of the beginning of the next season. And so I think to be at our stadium in front of our fans, and you're gonna have Snoop Dogg there, such a pillar of Southern California, LA. I think it's going to be great for the fans, and hey, we're going to be in our locker room, so it's going to feel like game day, and I think that's going to be exciting.
Talk to Tom about letting Snoop in at all.
Yeah, I think Snoop's going to have a place in the War Room. Maybe when we're not on the clock, although I'm sure he's probably got some good insight. But I think that the whole experience for our team, our organization, is going to be a lot of fun.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
If you want to see more content like this, check out the link right here.